visual guy. Okay, so how many of you would like to take the big leap into the next level of your life? Yes? Are you ready? How many of you are ready to be a full expression of the divine, to experience greater love, greater joy, greater creativity, abundance, peace, and wholeness in your life, which is all successful? Who? Yay! Yes. And how would it be if your life got easier? Would you like that? All right. Then, my friends, you are in the right place at the right time, because that's what we're going to talk about for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So, the book that I am referring to, June's Talks, is Gay Hendricks, really. I used to read him in the 80s. The Big Leap. The Big Leap. Conquering your hidden fears and taking your life to the next level. Okay, it sounds good. And for me, it sheds a bright, clear light on the phenomena that has been played out in my own life and the lives of many. I want to introduce you to this phenomenon by sharing with you a scenario that appears in this wonderful book. No, not this book. In the book, Aladdin's Lamp, you might have read that. It's really great. Protege of Dr. Ernest Holmes was Bill Hornaday, and he wrote Aladdin's Lamp. And this is what he wrote, the story. This is the story he wrote. There was a negative cab driver out of New York, which I can't believe. But anyway, he moved out to Los Angeles. And he started studying with Ernest Holmes' protege, Bill Hornaday. Julius Potholes was his name. In a nutshell, while with the help of Dr. Hornaday, Julius completely reversed his negative attitude. And he experienced more and more joy and connection and aliveness and happiness and all of that good stuff. In other words, success. To me, that's what success is. Being content and fulfilled and living out our divine qualities of joy, peace, abundance, wholeness. So one day after Julius turned his life around, his wife went to see Hornaday to thank him for this incredible, amazing changes that had happened in our husband's life. And here's what Hornaday wrote about that. I warned her that the rest of the way might not be as easy. It is a curious fact that each discovers in his own fashion, that the experiences, consciousness, the answers to prayer, all come tumbling, one after another in the beginning. And then you're thoroughly convinced, you start really believing, well, he didn't say that, I did, in this stuff. This is what he said. Suddenly, there's work to do, right? With dry periods. Until sometimes, like the monk with the aching knees, the most devout find themselves saying, I believe, help thou my unbelief. Have you ever found yourself there? Things are going great. Everything's going great. You feel in the spiritual zone. You feel so connected to God. And your prayers and affirmations are so powerful. Honey, life is G-O-O-D. Yes. And then wham. That's what it feels like. Sometimes it falls apart. Perhaps everything falls apart. Anyone ever have that happen? No, just me? Oh, a few people. When this happens, we can become really frightened and discouraged We can even doubt that anything really has changed for us. I know that my sister Kathleen, from her hospital bed, rehab bed, is watching this. So again, I dedicate this talk to her, as she is one of the most courageous people I've experienced. I didn't even know she was this courageous. So hang in there, Kathleen. It's all changing for you, and I know she believes that. So you might ask, what's up with that? Right? Not with her, but with your life. So there's a process called chemicalization. And that came about from Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science. And it's the chemical that changes, the change that literally takes place in your thoughts and feelings, which is then reflected in your body and affairs. And things can appear to be a mess while this is happening. And that all still makes complete sense to me, absolutely does. And there could be something else going on. The entire month of June, we are going to dedicate ourselves to this, and we're going to explore this phenomenon. So, we're going to explore it because it does happen to all of us. Life happens, and as always, as we know how we respond to it. And with these beautiful, powerful spiritual teachings, we can respond and change the outcome. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. And notice, I didn't say we will explore why this phenomenon might happen, because it really does happen to all of us. Right? We're all having this human experience, every single one of us. But at the same time, we are these dynamite spiritual beings. And there's power in that. Power. So we're going to look at ways to take concrete steps to make the big leap past it. Now they call it the quantum leap. Well, they have been calling it, but it's coming to our attention. So it's about that quantum leap. And before we get to what's going on that causes our good to come to a screeching halt, I want to establish a bit of a foundation. The reason you said yes to all those questions earlier, long before you came into this physical form, you made a handshake deal with the universe. If you want to believe that. To live within what Gay Hendricks calls your zone of genius. In this zone, you really are fully alive and most freely expressing your divinity as it shows up through your unique talents and gifts that we each have. We have within us amazing potential. And it says in Scripture, the kingdom of God dwells within. You are the temple of the living God. You are the light of the world, which is really powerful to me because I truly believe that. You are the light of the world. You are what this world needs. And each and every one of us has within us not only the innate potential to shine brightly and express fully, but the deep-seated desire to do so. The thing in us, when we are treating others with compassion, we feel so good about ourselves because we are living out our true purpose of giving, of loving, of being there for our fellow humans. Your zone of genius is your ultimate path of success and happiness, where your daily activities come from a place that is unequally you. They draw upon your special gifts, your strengths. When you are in your zone of genius, you are free, you're happy. Everything is like abundant and joyous and creative in that zone, our genius zone. And that is what's calling you. It's always that contrast of human life and living, and then that innate perfection that is the truth of who we are. That gives us, that contrast gives us the desire to move forward. And it's what's calling you. And the call is of your genius. That is why you said yes to all those questions. But here, according to Gay Hendricks, this makes such sense, is the challenge each and every one of us faces. And he calls it the upper limit problem, or ULP. I can go. ULP, upper limit problem. Hendricks suggests that each of us has an inner thermostat setting that determines just how much love, happiness, success, creativity, abundance that we allow ourselves to enjoy. Our thermostat setting probably got programmed in our early childhood, before we could think for ourselves. Or it was set by human consciousness, the collective unconscious, our religious beliefs we were brought up with. So when we exceed those limits, that inner thermostat setting, we will do something to sabotage ourselves. Maybe you can relate to that, because I most certainly can. Self-sabotaging, causing us to drop back into old familiar ways, that zone, not allowing ourselves to stay in that zone of genius. So when we exceed our inner thermostat setting, we will do something that will cause us to go backwards sometimes, or relive that familiar setting. So listen to these words of Dr. Ernest Holmes in Living the Science of Mind. He wrote this: "The perfect was always there. It was implanted by spirit. The imperfection has been added by the human mind. What the human mind has put there, it can take away. What the divine has implanted cannot be uprooted. It can only appear to be covered up." So when we're going through all of that stuff in life, and we will, it's covered up, but it's there, it's active, it's alive, it's palpable, and it's powerful. So let's change our language for that quote to fit in today's talk. Our zone of genius, I always want to say our zone of Jesus. Our zone of genius was always there. It was implanted by spirit. The upper limit problem has been added by the human mind. What the human mind has added, the human mind can take away. What the divine has implanted cannot be uprooted. It can only appear to be covered up. Until we become conscious, really conscious of this phenomenon, and make a conscious decision, a conscious change, wherever we expand beyond our upper limit thermostat by making more money, experiencing more love, more good, and more happiness in our life, we trip up our upper limit problem. And that switch goes on again, and we find ourselves backing down to something where we can stay stuck because it's familiar. It doesn't mean it's good, it usually isn't, but it's different. In short, we have the tendencies to follow big leaps forward in our success with mess-ups. And here's what it can look like. You may make your leap by getting a terrific promotion at the job, only to experience a serious health challenge. Or embark on a fantastic new love relationship, and suddenly your ULPs, upper limit problem, enshroud you in a wet blanket of guilt that keeps you from enjoying your new love. Hendricks tells a story in the book about a couple who fell madly in love. They had never felt this way about anyone else in their whole lives. So they hastily got married, and they were on their way to drive for a short honeymoon when they decided that they were going to pull over where the woods were and lay a blanket out. And that's what they did to have some privacy. They spread out that blanket, and then they let nature take its course. What they didn't know was that they were on a bed of poison oak. It can take poison oak over 24 hours to have any effects on our bodies. But when it strikes, it's not pretty, so I've been told. I don't know. I'm from the city. We didn't have it. We had Central Park there. I don't think we had any. Anyway. They were clients of Hendricks, okay? And they went to see him upon arriving back home. And from the woman's perspective, she thought, well, the universe just doesn't want us to be together. The husband was a doctor and very self-critical and judgmental, saying, I should have known better. I have treated this so many times. I should have noticed. Hendricks said, as he was sitting there listening to their story, he saw a flashing neon sign that read, upper limit problem. Their thermostats were not set high enough to allow them to fully bask in this wonderful new relationship. We self-sabotage. I saw possible examples, and maybe you can relate to this, of this play out in a very, very public and tragic way when I watched that movie, This Is It. And that was the Michael Jackson movie, incredible movie. So it's a documentary, and it's filming the rehearsal for what was going to be his big tour. 50 sold-out dates, over 800,000 tickets sold at the most amazing pace. And he seemed, if you watch the movie, he seemed joyous, happy, inspired, ready to do this. He was really like pumping it up. He was excited about this tour because his children were finally old enough to know what he did for a living. And he was still young enough to do it, because he was in like his early 50s. It looked to me as though during those rehearsals he was living in his zone of genius. He was doing and loving what he came to this planet to do. And he was giving many talented artists the chance to do the same with him. The concert was truly going to be a collaborative effort of genius. And perhaps, just perhaps, Jackson hit hard against, slammed up against, probably he's upper limit. I don't know that for sure. But it's a tragic example of what I'm talking about. But it struck me as I was watching a video again of this movie that this is exactly what had happened to him. I don't know if it did or not. So the next time you find yourself with a stomachache, with a throbbing headache, and you stubbed your toe, ask yourself if it might be your upper limit problem that you're holding for yourself. And sometimes, a headache is just a headache. An accident is just an accident. But when you go a little deeper, I know Kathleen is going deeper, because she said to me, I wonder what lesson I'm supposed to learn from this. You know, And she's been laying in bed for 7 weeks and still going. And she's looking for what she's supposed to learn spiritually in her life from that experience. The good news is that you can consciously eliminate the need to do that. We each deserve to experience wave after wave of greater love. We really do. Creative energy, financial abundance without the need to sabotage ourselves. We have to catch ourselves, be aware, always awareness. That's what I want for you, it's what I want for me. And I hope that's what you want for yourself. So this whole month will be about eliminating that upper limit problem and uncovering our zones of genius. And next week, we begin to look at how to do that. How do we do that? For now, I'm asking you to do 2 things this week. First, make a commitment to take the big leap into your genius zone. Make a commitment to live from the place where you are truly a fuller expression of the divine. And where you experience greater connection, aliveness, happiness, love, creativity, and abundance, where life works for you all the time. And when you consider the possibility of consistently feeling good and having things go well in your life, you might find yourself thinking, that's not possible. Stuff's going to happen. I mean, I even went there. No, wait a minute. No, it doesn't have to be possible. Why not? If so, if you find yourself there, I completely understand it. I get it. I urge you not to waste too much time worrying about whether it's possible or not. Just be in that zone is enough, more than enough. Be willing to make that commitment. And the second thing, this is your homework for the second thing if you choose, start paying attention to your upper limit thermostat. How might it be appearing in your life over the next week? Just notice, and notice what you are noticing and write it down. Taking the big leap into your zone of genius requires some internal changes. Always going to be an inside out, always job, always. So start paying attention and noticing it. Explore these changes lovingly and gently, and be gentle with ourselves. And support one another this whole month. I mean, you got a whole community here in this process. As we hold hands, figuratively, and hearts together, and to take that big leap, all of us. So good.